Okay, this is a video about consolidation of different files. Okay, and I will show you kind of some stuff on this. So I'm going to those resources I give you, and I'm going to project finance model, and I'm going to consolidating separate projects. Now I've done this before, and this is going to be very different. And we can go to this IRA and energy efficiency and see, get some ideas. But this is not what we're going to do. Okay, I hope to be able to explain this, and I'm going to update a couple of little things. Let's see what happens. And okay, oops, just a minute. Okay, it's loading. All right, okay, and I'm going to introduce a different way to do this than I've been doing before. Now, I noticed when I looked on my website with a client here that I didn't have all the slides, things I wanted. So this is an example of energy efficiency. Maybe I should title this energy efficiency, which I shouldn't really. If I want to include charging stations here, I can see what the IRR on a charging station is. I can look at a combined heating and power, and I left the solar in. Let me see. What is that one? I don't know. Okay, heating envelope. Okay, we could put different projects together. Okay, and when we put different projects together, we can put them in, take them out, and then we can look at, well, this is kind of looking at the tenant and the other things. These are two big bubbles, aren't they? And then we tried to do some IRRs with and without different tax equity. We put all of these in. And then here's what you do. You put in some, God knows what these are, but you put in some inputs into one single vertical line in a database. That's like it's kind of like an input S sheet. And once you input these in, we take this is a kind of like a template model, and then you put all of these things together. Now, of course, as usual, well, that's good. I opened that. So you can look at some of the IRA stuff, which I'll look at a little more, but actually this example is a little bit better. And excuse me for opening the wrong file and messing everything up already on this. And let me just pause for a second. Okay, I've got some buildings. In this case, we just have some different buildings. They're all in this vertical line. We make a template model. And in our template model, we put the little name of the one of these names up at the top. Here, I hope. Okay, this is building 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We put those names at the very top. And then once we have that, we get a match somewhere. Then we match that name against the column number. So this is 6, 7. I don't know why I didn't do this. Hey, I'm going to do something else. Let's do a sequence that goes from 6 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, and 7 is 13. If I put equals sequence, and I make it one row, and then how many columns did I say? 7 columns, and I start with 6. And I step by 1. I guess that's the, oops, and maybe I have to do this. Why did that? Oh, then it works, okay? That's called a dynamic array. I did not know this. I'm getting a little off track. Excuse me for this. I did not know that was a dynamic array, because that, the spill stuff that happens in Excel, I never understood what this spill stuff was all about. You're allowed to just put a function in. In the old days, you have to press Shift Control Enter. You don't have to press Shift Control Enter anymore. You think that's not a big deal? It's kind of a big deal. I was convinced of this by Mr. Hatmaker. Okay, good. Who I kind of was mean to at one time. All right, so we put all of these in a column, and then we have the net number, and we take all of these index functions. Whenever we take things from the database, we take this, I guess, why does this just come? These are generic things, but there must be a lot of, I hope, a whole lot of indexes, where we always, this column, that's our match and index. So if we put building 2 here, I hope there's a building 2, then, and I hope I might have the, okay, that takes it from column 7, and then we get different things, and you can look and kind of see how you could put these into a single template model. And then when we do our consolidation, this sum thing works very well, because you don't get slowed down by the indirect command, which I'm going to talk about right now and be a hypocrite about. But we put start, end, and then you put your little exclamation point in, and I said 078, and that will go between start and end. Do you see we have start here, we have building 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we go from start to end, and we can consolidate it. And when we consolidate it, then we can combine it into a quarterly kind of model. And this start and end is a big deal, because the whole thing works. All you do is take this template model and basically make a little loop that says, make it building 1, and then copy and paste this to a template model. No, take this template model, copy and paste it, and put it, I think the best way to do this is start at the end and kind of go backwards like this. It works much better than if you go to the start and work forwards. You just make a macro that changes this little building 1, building 2, building 3, then it reads in from this input database that's all in a nice lined up manner, and then it all works. And I was going to, I had, when I envision, you should see, oh my gosh, I lose sleep over the most idiotic things, like saying, oh, how should I make this video? Ooh, as if it really matters. You make a create portfolio, and in this create portfolio, it's pretty simple. Look at this little tiny macro that just copies the projects, and it just goes around for how many projects you have. This range total projects is, I just tried to skip to whatever the Excel, but we go around there, we select the template sheet. Where do we put in the template sheet? This is where the name building 1, building 2, building 3 gets put into the template sheet. Okay, and then you change the sheet name. What did I do here? Just a minute. Okay, project name. I think I'm okay. We change the sheet name to this building 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put it there. In this case, I go from facility 1 to there. In this case, I start at the start sheet, which we can do a little bit better these days. If you go instead from the end back to the start, it works a little bit better. And then you just put the sheet name in, and it does this. And whenever you do this, it's a really good idea to also do something else here, and that's clearing the projects. And when you clear the projects, that you really have to start at the end. You go to the end sheet. That's the sheet that's named end. I put display alerts false because I was confident, so I'm not going to delete everything, which might be stupid, but whatever, so it doesn't say it each time, and then it deletes the sheets and put them out. And those are very simple little macros, really. So I can clear the sheets out. There's nothing between start and end, and I just create a portfolio, okay? And it might take a little bit of time because I've got a bunch of sheets open here, but okay. Oops. There. It put them in building one. Building one goes up here. That means it takes the wherever I should have done the coloring better, so I show you exactly when it took the index, but whatever. It took those from then it took them from column 7, and well, I'll leave that. I should have made it automatic. Okay, I'm closing this file now. Okay, I think you can hopefully you can see this. And now I also should talk about making VBA and macros and whether that's even a good thing to do. Some people are telling me now, oh my gosh, you should never have enable content on a sheet, and I really can't say much about this. So now here's what, let me close this big one too. I've got some IRA stuff. Now here I'm trying to do this, and I'm starting to get a little more interested in rooftop solar and getting the hourly data for rooftop solar, and then looking at T-flips. And what I'm doing here is making a solar project, okay? And in the solar project, we could have different, these are the utility companies, you put in the utility rates, you put in the characteristics of the solar, and then you say, okay, what's our IRR if we have no partnership? What if we can use all the tax benefits? What if we have a write-up? What if we have no write-up? We can do all of that kind of stuff. And then I don't have a diagram yet, but then we can put all of our solar inputs or stuff like this. And now these are just little rooftop solar projects. Why do I have the, whatever. How would you consolidate a bunch of solar projects with different dates up into one file? And in this case, we had some inputs that were basically input S inputs because we have monthly data and all that. Now you could take that single data sheet and kind of work with it. Instead of doing that, I'm saving this. By the way, I'm just going to complain about something. Market Watch and the Wall Street Journal, they used to have this thing where you can find the financial statements of companies, and I used to download those, and I didn't use what is this, the Power Query. Just a second, I gotta close the door. I don't want to be interrupted by people. Stupid. Jesus. Okay, now I lost my train of thought. Ugh. Oh yes, I was talking about Market Watch, and then you go to this Power Query, and you can't download this. The things all of a sudden, I made all this stuff to scrape and illegally probably take the data, and I can't do it anymore. So we're going to have to come up with another method. That's that other file I love so much. Oh my gosh, am I sad about that. But at least we learned how to do the sequence, and at least we can kind of do this now. And then I'm also had this discussion these days about using so I made this file kind of, I put our little I'm not gonna digress about that, putting the little UDF inputs and outputs here. Okay, but that's not really what I'm talking about. Here's what I'm talking about. This, they would wanted you to take an input file that had all different formats, and they wanted to combine. Whoops, this is, they wanted to combine these kind of inputs, and combine 10, 15 different projects into a consolidated kind of sheet using that same macro approach. All right? So this is something a little more interesting. Okay? Now, at first I thought, oh yeah, we can do the same thing. And then I totally got messed up, because what we need to do this time is when we make a template model, don't look at this quite yet, if I go up here and put model inputs up here, so we're going to make a little thing, and then if I put model inputs, it's going to take it from this sheet. But let's say this is another sheet. If I put up here, then we change that to up here, existing trends, some existing company, and then I want to combine that. This time I cannot, unfortunately, do the little index match stuff, because we don't have a common database. Instead, we have a whole bunch of inputs, and I input the start and go up here to input the end. Okay, we put all of these different sheets together, a whole bunch of different input sheets, and then we have a template model that reads the different input sheets. It can read any of these input sheets. Now, if you're going to read different data, as long as every single input sheet has the same format, which it didn't exactly, and I had to waste a lot of time on that one, but who cares? You don't need to know that, sorry. Okay, but this time, every time we have something, and again I use the generic macros here, we take this sheet name, and I hope this says this is named input sheet. Okay, there's a little range name on this, and we take that sheet name and then use an indirect function, and then sometimes we have to use the indirect and the lookup function. So now what you could do is you could say, okay, let's just get, and I need to digress a minute. There's one problem. If you have input C and input S, you're going to have to put them together. Oh no, those people are going to go crazy. Those stupid bureaucrats are going to go crazy with this. Can't stand the way the modeling has become so bureaucratic. We can put oh God, I'm going to have a heart attack. We are going to put the input C and the input S together. Oh my gosh, what a criminal behavior. Because these people say you're not allowed to do that. And you're not allowed to have an input C for financing and an input C for operations, which clearly makes all the sense in the world. Okay, enough of that. And then we're going to have to do something even worse. We're going to have to make, so these model inputs, before we put our whack sheet or something in a different page, whack, God, what absolute complete crap that is. Our template model is going to have to be kind of put together too. So if we have operations and financing sections, or if you have 10 different sheets, remember to consolidate 20 different companies, 20 different little things. We're going to have to put that in, and then we're going to have to make kind of a common timeline. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Now, you could almost stop this. Now, if I'm going to put some of these on the website. If you look at this macro, I'll show you how to do this, but it's a painful macro, and something that I thought was worth sharing with people, and that is a macro that is what did I do? I have a few input boxes, okay? This is a macro that every time you have, when you're setting things up, every time you might have something called, for example, up here, model inputs, it's going to go, and I would encourage people to look at this macro. A lot of people have been, not a lot, two. Okay, two. Fine, two's good. Two people have been asking, oh, how do I do some of these more interesting, complicated functions and macros? And I think that's absolutely crucial to learn. And other people might be saying, oh my gosh, I started looking at Python. I'm not going to say I'm going to do this. I mean, if we want to really scrape the data, I do it in a kind of crude way. But I still use VBA. I used to use all sorts of different languages. Who cares? I used to use C++, Fortran, whatever, D-based program, whatever. Who cares? For me, it's all the same. Just a little bit of loops and at least for the math part, it's the same. And a little bit of input and output. Now I know that going and finding stuff on the internet is a little trickier. I know that. Okay. So we can do that. And if you want to explode and get better than Excel, like I told you, my snob uncle, I'm sorry, I changed whatever. Edward, what are you doing using Excel when you should be using MATLAB? Oh, okay, excuse me. Then I say, no, you can take Excel and get around every boundary you have in Excel, almost including reading data from the internet, including this kind of stuff, including doing reasonable kind of statistical work. You can do all of that if you use a little VBA programming. Okay, I'm defending a little bit the VBA. By the way, up here, if we put this one here, did I do that? I hope. This puts the new company in. While I was just moaning, I'm looking at this. We put the new company in. It just puts this in, and then it grabs all of the data. Okay. Now, once we grab all of this, data, then we can. Where's my little consolidation? Now, on the consolidation, I use a lot of indirect functions. And if somebody says, oh, you stupid, crazy idiot, you altered, oh my God, you dumb cock, what are you doing? Because the indirect function is not normally very good because it can slow you down. I totally agree. But it's hard to get around that if you have a whole bunch of sheets. Whew, let me relax. If and I got to see what's happening with my horrible video thing. Okay, whatever. Okay, I don't. If we create our models, okay, it's the same kind of thing I just showed you. Once you have this set up, and this time, I did a little bit more, but let's go to the essential part. That thing that said input sheet, you just go around that input sheet. This time I go to the start sheet. Do I use I used the start sheet instead of the end sheet again, I think. Or no. Yes, I think so. Excuse me. No, I went backwards. Step -1. So it's going basically to the end sheet. And it's replacing that sheet name. And then it's going to the template model and copying that template model with this sheet name in it. And we're putting it to the start and the end, and then we can consolidate and do all of our stuff for consolidation, either with start and end or either with another indirect. And when I say indirect command, everybody you might not know, but if you put A1 and I'm sorry, instead of, let's put here, F6, if we put equal F6, okay, that gives us the number. Okay, whatever. I'll put this as 10 or something. Okay, and again, I'm going to give you this file. I'm going to put this up on the website. Even in the, everybody says, oh, go down to the comment below. You'll see that. Okay, try to do that. I should do that before I even upload these files. I'm being really mean to you by not doing that sometimes. But instead of doing that, oh, God, listen to this. I sound like another person who's going a little bit senile. I'm terrified of going senile like some other people are because I don't like the people there. F6, if we put equal indirect and then put in double quotes F6 like that, it works. Okay, it gives you the same number. No big deal. But what happened if I wanted to take this consolidation cylinder up here? I'm gonna, oh, here, I've got it here. Where's the, I gotta create the list maybe, just a minute. Okay. Oh, God. Okay, I've got too slow, I'm gonna wait. Okay, it turns out I didn't have to do that. But now I want to get over here. Oh, I've got a nice little blank line. Okay, and let's go to every single one of these. This is up here, existing transmission, and let's get some data. How about we'll get I-22, okay? I want to get I-22 for all of these things. I might put up here I-22, and the indirect command it'll allow you, if you put indirect, and then you put, we gotta put in double quotes, remember, and then you've got to put a single quote, double quote, and this one, and let me see, a double quote, single quote, exclamation point, and double quote, and then you put this one and press F4 just on the top here. Okay, I'm going to press enter. It's about 99% sure it's going to give me a ref. Oh, it didn't. For some crazy reason, I got it right the first time, which is totally unique. Okay, but you can use this indirect function and just grab all the stuff from different sheets. Now, I guess I'm not sure why some of those didn't have it. Let's look at what happened. This was I-22, I hope, and I took I-22 FS Tarif. Let's see what happened here. What happened to I-20? Oh, there was nothing. So let's, how about let's put I-52, because that's the total. Hopefully there'll be some stuff for all of this. That's why I'm just trying to explain to you, that's why using that indirect function, and this time I got a bunch of this, okay? This one was supposed to have nothing, and so we can just work with some range names and do our consolidation where we have a more complicated input sheet. That's the whole idea. Should I save this file? I almost feel like saving this one because I was so proud. Why not? I was so proud that I didn't screw up with that indirect command with double quote, single quote, double quote, double. Okay, obviously, I have done this many times, okay? And obviously, the only advantage I have in my life right now is that I've made so many mistakes, and in this one, it's a great example. I've done this many, 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 many times, and I've tried different ways, and this sucks. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. So you just try it. Now on my website, I tried to put this one, like the sequence. I just learned how to do this wonderful little sequence stuff here. And now if you even want to do something like let's see, equal rand between, okay? How does that work? Rand between, no, that's not, oh shoot, RAND, rand array. If we put, let's put one row, 20 columns, 0 is the minimum, 100 for the max, and let's put false. I don't know what that will happen. And then it will give us a bunch of random numbers. And I didn't know that that's called a dynamic array, and we can do all this Monte Carlo simulation with that and stuff like that. Actually, not quite as much as I just told you. But, okay, so now I have another model. And what we're going to do in this model, and I might want to speed things up. I might have to speed things up from here. We have an input C. And we have a model start date, which is not the same as the construction start date. And what that means is we can make a whole bunch of portfolios. We can put a portfolio together, and this, I hope it starts, yes, this better start with the model start date. And then we can put different projects with different dates in and consolidate them. And for this kind of consolidation, it's going to be slow. Okay? It's going to be big, and it's probably, with the indirect, it's going to be slow. But I can understand people saying, the first thing I could say, oh, okay, let me do this. Let me rearrange this input S, and we'll have a little code number that goes to this input S, and we'll have to rearrange all your inputs and redo all your inputs. And then they say, screw you. Okay, so instead of that, let's see how we could do this. Now, I have monthly hydrogen with UDF. How about for consolidation? I want to try to make this quicker, okay? I don't know, I get so desperate to make videos that I don't charge anybody a penny for, and I don't have any advertising for, and all that, okay? I'm kind of an idiot, a twattle. Now, if we, a Dummkopf. Now, if I'm going to just cut this and put it into our input C page, okay, and then I'm going to, okay, and, okay, we've copied it, and I'm going to have to open that other file again, by the way. So, okay, sorry, I put input S stuff below the input C. We can delete this page. Now, I also, okay, as usual, I have to start over here. I was going to put a model together that had my UDF in it, my parallel model that resolves all the circular references, and I kind of messed that up a little bit. So I'll deal with that one in the future. For now, we have this model, and I think I kind of took you through this model last time. It's got an input C and an input S page, okay? And in the input C, I've got a start date, which is different than necessarily the construction start date and the ending start date. And we have a monthly model, just a little bit, tiny little bit of introduction, and then we have the little flags, and we use the generic macros, and that's our model. Now, if you had this model in 3 different pages, you'd have to put the model together. You'd have to move it into one page, like I'm about to do with input C and input S. So I'm just going to take all of our input S and criminal. Oh my gosh, the bureaucrats would be would be going apoplectic right now. Oh my gosh. Oh mon Dieu, you dumb cop. I'm putting the sheet, okay? Whatever. How about like this? Is that good enough? Okay. And then we have our model sheet. Okay, and our model sheet is like this. Sheet 1, that's where I did my little sequence, or what was this, rand array. I wonder how many different ones. There must be a lot of this. 1, 10, 100, 200, decimal. Ah, cool. Okay, I gotta start. That little thing changes the life, but we don't care about that one. Okay, my life. You're not. Hope you have a better life than that. And hopefully we still have a IRR down here somewhere. I hope. Oh shit! Just a minute. Did I? What's my project IRR? Oh God! Just a minute. Oh, shit. Okay, no big deal. I had to put 0.001 here. That's, by the way, absolutely criminal behavior. And of course, that IRR is absolutely in the range of absurdity to think you need on a safe kind of project financing some kind of 16% return. The world has to change here, but let's not get off the subject. Okay, so now let's see if we can do this. What I'm going to do is up here, where should we put it? Let's put it right here. And let's put the name input sheet, input one word sheet here. And what we want to do is every time there's a green piece of data, there's a green data every time, and if you notice, I only really use it with a direct data or a lookup. And I got so furious. I was so furious. This person, I tried to explain this, and then instead it's just laughable. They had 5 different scenarios, so that they made 5 little different models instead of just taking one input sheet and doing it all. Whatever. Let's do this. And let's rename this now our template model. Okay, and then what we're going to do now is we're going to make 10 different input sheets with different different start dates and different end dates, and then in our input sheet we'll name these input sheets differently, and we can put a start and an end for our different input sheets, and then combine those together to make a template model. And all we have to do is do just a little bit of very simple VBA. Okay, and as I'm saying that, I'm thinking, oh shit, I don't want to go through this, but let's see. Now I'm doing something very silly because I haven't tried this before, and Eddie told me, oh, what are you doing? Why would you not practice this stuff? Well, I don't have time. I don't, gosh, I just want to make these videos so badly. Now, where is our, oh, come on, where is our consolidation example? Okay, and this is the one where I had the macro, okay? Okay, when I talk about the macro, you notice I had a little interlude here. When I talk about the macro, I'm talking about this macro. Now, before you make this macro, okay, what it's going to do, and this one is finished. This one is finished. I'm going to show you how it runs and show you what to do. Basically, you just, first of all, you have to go and find this macro. So you have to find this file. I'll put monthly hydrogen. Right now I'm on V2. okay? And you basically will have to copy this macro. And the whole idea about this macro is before, this just said input sheet F12, and before it had and I've run the macro here, so I'm kind of cheating. But if we find F12, F up here, before it was just referring to this start of operation state, okay? And so what this does is it takes this, what this macro does, it takes this number. Why don't we do it? We'll leave this here. And then perhaps I'll also do a lookup. Okay, let's put our seasonal lookup. So this is a lookup function with the month number, and we go to the input sheet, and now we put our input S and our input T together. I just got yelled at for making a video. Why would I just want to make a video? What's the crime in that? Oh my gosh, life sucks sometimes. Here we put this, and we take the whole line, and then we take this. Is this the seasonal factor? Fine. Okay, I don't know. I did a normal distribution and a Weibull distribution and was messing around with that a little bit on different possible patterns, I suppose. And then, oh, now I'm getting, okay. Oh God, I gotta interrupt, but I'm gonna just finish this just for a minute, okay? Then we go here. How can people just interrupt you all the time? Okay, so I'm doing my generic macros. The reason I'm doing that is pressing Shift Control P, Shift Control R. So the other thing, we're going to take this lookup function and put this lookup function into the same structure where we go to this input sheet, which is a range name. This is a range right now that it says input sheet, okay? And this input sheet is just the name, this name input sheet, okay? And instead of taking this, instead of just taking this lookup here, okay, which was line 80, notice we use line 80 and we use line 67, well, I go and make an indirect, find line 67 and find line 80. So this macro, which is why I wanted to make the video, I wanted to show you this, this macro will convert this line into this line. Now you could say, oh, why don't you try to do this with copy and paste? Just replace, whenever it says input sheet, replace that. And I tried that, and I tried it and tried it and tried it. I spent a couple hours. It just didn't work. I could not get there. So I had to write a macro that searches around every time you find this, this name input sheet, it's going to replace that right here. It's going to replace that and put it here. Now imagine you have changed them all. You've added some lines, deleted some lines. What you would have to do, I'm just making a video! Oh, God. Oh, my God. Okay, oh, now I can't even talk. God. So every time, okay. And basically now the other thing I'm saying, if you're one of these people who sticks a bunch of formulas in here and would put this as input 1, and instead of putting the stuff over on the side, notice that this has got the same kind of thing. Let's, oh, this 8760, oh, this was from an input sheet, so I even put 8760 as an input. What a waste of time. But I put it here as if some scenarios wouldn't have 8760 hours. So let's just make sure that that works again, okay? So the way this macro works is in order to replace it. Now, it's not that easy. It was hard. But once you can do this, what a powerful tool you have, okay? And this is that you need to take and replace this stuff in the indirect, this whatever, whenever you find this input sheet, you're going to replace the name input sheet except the F6 over here. So you've got to kind of parse that out and just get the input sheet, and then you're going to do a replace in Excel, and that's the big thing, to be able to do that. If you were really good, maybe I just couldn't do it because it was a formula and I couldn't put a formula at the end, I couldn't put a bracket at the end and all that. So I just messed around with this replace, and then you can see that I've already done it, and hopefully it works. Now, when you do that, you right-click, and let's look at that macro. So to start the macro, I have a bunch of introduction, and it's absolutely essential right here. We need a replace name and an input name. And the other thing I did, I made this work with a space. If you didn't have a space, the language would be a little bit different. So you have to kind of put a space in, although this could be input sheet A or A sheet with a space, whatever you want. And you need a range name on this thing, okay? Sorry about that, but I didn't know how else to do it. Okay, so let's keep looking at this kind of macro. And then I did something, I put this in and I put a little debug to make sure if you just want to begin and make sure this is kind of working, you can work through it. And then I put a little user form. This user form will just keep track of it because this thing can take a long time to do. You basically have to go row by row, column by column, cell by cell rather, and you just replace the text and get that, and blah 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 blah. Now you can see I'm a little freaked out. And then I made it so it replaces the lookup, it replaces a regular old input, and because XLOOKUP is so cool compared to lookup, it also replaces that. I suppose if you had some other functions, SUMSIF or index somewhere in there, you'd have to do the same sort of thing. But I stopped. I said, okay, mainly those are our two main functions we'd use in kind of a realistic model. So you can tell I'm a little reluctant to do this, but let's show you how it works. So I put a little, a message box there, and it says, okay, replaces the sheet, run it in your template model, make sure all the inputs are in one single sheet, and you should have a space in the input sheet, and then I say, okay, you need a replace name in this sheet, you need an input sheet up here, you need a range name for that. That's just the way I did it. And then I said, okay, put all the rows in here, but let's start with just, let's just do here, how many rows? We've got 16, let's do 20 rows. And let's not do all the columns, let's just stop here in J is 10, and let's make maybe column 12, okay? And then if you want to see how it works, you can leave this debug little thing in, and it'll show you a bunch of message boxes. You can look at the macro, okay? And then it says we're going to replace input sheet, and it's looking for bracket input sheet with an exclamation point. It's just okay, yeah, it's okay. And then I put that thing, it goes to row 7, and then it said, in row 7 I find an occurrence. And the old text was input, I start in character 3, I go through characters, and then I'm replacing what used to be in there with what's in that input sheet. And then this is good news because I put the little bracket at the end, and then it's got to close the bracket. And then I press OK, and then it did it. And I'm going to the next one. And then it found another one in row 13. Is row 13? oh, that's where we put the 8761, and it goes through and it replaces that one, okay? And then it goes through and you can look at each one. I kind of went nuts with this, but don't worry, we're going to turn that debug off. And then when we go to the lookup, hopefully in line, whenever it was, what was that in? I did that in line 16 or something. Okay. Okay. I hope it did that. Okay, come on, come on, come on. Ah, too many little things. Okay, and I think I did that a couple of times. I need to go more quickly here. This is kind of silly that I'm doing this. And now it went to row 20 and finished it. And so what it did is it put this here. It said, okay, take F12, whatever is in F12 in the input sheet. Now, I hope you see, oh no, if I start inserting lines in the input sheet and all that, I'll have to rerun that macro, which will be a bit painful. I don't need this anymore. And then we go down to this line, and you see what it did is it replaced the line and it put the correct line in, and it did the same up here. So if we wanted to do, let's do the same thing now. This time, I'll just do a few more. I'm not going to do all the rows because I've already done them. I'll do 30 rows. And I'll do 50 columns. But this time I'm going to put in false, and you can go and look at the macro and adjust all of these things to your heart content. Okay, and I still say, yeah, do you want to do that? Okay. And now it's just going around the rows and columns, and you might say, oh, that's going, it seems to be going pretty quickly. It's actually not going very quickly because I've got 200 rows in this spreadsheet, and it'll take a little time to do that. So I've done that. Okay, and now once we've done that, that is the big step. Because once we've done that, then we can start making new. I'm going to, instead of this, make about 5 or 10 different input sheets, and each of the input sheets will have a different start date. We'll use the base case all the time. And we can put in different construction periods, whatever, different capacity factors, whatever we have in our model, including all of the kind of input S stuff we have in the model. So we can just take, as long as we stuff this into one sheet, which shouldn't be very hard, we can put it all together, and then we're going to make a bunch of different. This template model, we'll just use the different input sheet names, whatever, Solar Project 1, Solar Project 2, Solar Project 10, and then we can just consolidate that. So I'm going to stop for a minute, and then we'll finish this video up. I'll try to do it quickly, okay? I just lost it. You know, okay, where am I? Now, what this video is really about, I'm pissed off about what happened to the University of Chicago. That's a different subject. What this video is really about is the effectiveness of occasionally having to do some VBA. And my friend, now he's not my friend, Craig Hatmaker says, oh, you can't ever have VBA because you'll have the whatever, the enable macros thing on. Okay, so now let's just show you the mechanics of how it works. But the theme is larger. And the theme is also really making portfolios of projects and making projects into funds or corporate finance. Let's put start input. And then what we're going to do is I'm not going to show you, I hope, because I don't want this video to take too long. And I'm going to put end input. And then we're going to put a start model. And then we're going to put end. No, yes. I think, let's just make that start. Okay. And then let's make this end. Okay, and then we're going to make a little macro that goes around from start to finish, and I think what we really need to do is then make a little kind of menu sheet, a consolidation menu or something. And then we'll make another little sheet where we do our consolidation. So the first thing we can do is take our input sheet, let's right click and copy that, and copy it to right here, okay? And let's just call that, okay, let's call that project 1, and so we have project 1. And then let's copy it about 5 more times. And when we change it, I'm going to go ahead and change some of the start date, some of the construction times, some of the capacities, whatever. We can put some of the different code numbers in to take a different degradation and all of that. But I'm certainly not going to just waste your time with that. Okay, so now I have different projects. The projects have different start dates. Here I put a different start date. Let's put a different construction period in. We could put a different S-curve code in. Remember, this is I gotta put the calculation button on, but okay, so we put all sorts of different characteristics, and now we're going to consolidate all those projects. Excuse me, I have not had anything to drink just because I'm just angry at the world. That's a different matter, okay? Now, and that's okay, I think, okay? I think I could have. Now, let's go in this consolidation sheet. What I'm going to do, and what I just did a few minutes ago, is I got a couple kind of regular old macros here. And where do I find create list? If we press edit, what we can do is we can make a list start and list end. Let's put up here just let's make that a range name. How about the old-fashioned way? List start, and then I'm going to go down here, and we maybe have this many companies or projects. Okay, and now we have that, and then we'll just work through it, and it'll say, okay, clear everything we had, and do I have input start and input end? That's the name of my sheet. And so up here we just have a little bit of, I hope it says start input. So good. I did it the other way, typical kind of thing. So we go over here and we say, let's find the start input. Each sheet has a little number associated with it, not just a name. A start input, okay, and then end input. And then what you do here, we go around all the sheets, and then if it's greater than the start index and less than the start that one, then we'll just create a list. Okay, and let's see if we can do that. What I should do is maybe hurry up the stuff a little bit, but okay. And we'll just put wherever. This was create our little list, and let's see if we can do that. And then we're going to go one by one, and I hope I've explained it. Maybe you don't have to look at it. And I hope, unlike other people, I hope I'm just going to say, okay, there, we put our little projects there, and that's going to be nice and helpful. Now, after we create this list, then the next thing we can do is we can run all of our macros. Let's make another one to run the macros. Okay, and sorry about this. I'm going to hurry up. And okay, and then we put. Now I call this new player. Well, I didn't really call this. Let's press OK, and let's assign macro and edit that. I'm going to change the names and all that later. Okay, I'll leave it new player. Okay, and we're going to go start at the start, go around, and then I might have to, we've got how many rows we're going to do, and then basically, just a minute, I'm not going to, we can put a true false flag in, and we can put a little category in. We're not going to do any of that crap, and we're not going to do any of this crap, and we'll have to make sure it's on the automatic calculation. We'll go around the sheets, and we'll go from how many companies we have. That's in our little list. We have how many companies we have, and then once we have the companies, we'll go to our template model. I think that's what we named it. And then in the template model, we're going to we've got to define our company name. Did I define this company? We defined that company name, and I hope that was from the sheets, the sheet name, and then we're going to copy that, and we're just going to go. We're going to start with the end company and get it up to the last company. Now I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop and fix a couple of. Okay, let's just look at the macro very, very quickly. I changed it. I made create models. We go around all the start and the end input, and we create a company name. The company name is from the sheet name. You can look at this. That's the idea, but I just want to introduce it. We get the total number of companies. I put a little message box for the total number of companies. And then we go around from the start sheet. We go to the start sheet and find the index number for the start sheet. I'm not sure I have to do that. And then we go from, yes, we need that. And then we go for the first company. We say we're creating this company. We put the name of the company up in that input sheet named range, and that's an input sheet named range. Now there are multiple ones for each sheet. And then we take and copy that model, and we put it after the start sheet. That's the key, okay? And we start with the very last company. We start with number 5, okay? And then we go from 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. And we put that here, and then we rename this, the company name, plus the model. So let's do that. And I'm going to just illustrate how it works. So we press this create models. It says, okay, there are 5 projects, and it's creating the project. Okay, that's that. Oops. Now we can clear the models too, but before I clear the models, let's do just a little bit of consolidation. And one of the things we might want to do, of course, let's put 4 of them for once. Okay, and maybe we we want to get the revenues. Now once you get the, we better put a date, okay? Let's put our date, and for the date, we can just get that from the template model, and we have to have this common date. That's a key thing here. Now, you know, what we can do here, let's go a few, 10 years, 160 months, equals sequence, one row, 120, comma, 1, comma 1. How's that? Okay, and then we can, let's just Shift Control R, and again, please don't do this thing where you do it one by one. Okay, and let's put a little bit of a thing here. Now we could also use, and I'm not going to put the indirect. We could do this with the indirect, but we want to go from start to finish, and let's find the row number for the these are the inputs, and then we have the row number. Let's get the revenues. Let's get the revenues, expenses, capex, and maybe the equity cash flow. Okay, the revenues are 39, expenses 48, capex 30, 39, 48, and 31. Okay? 31, oh shit, 39 and 28. Is that what? Oh God. Okay, just gonna check. Now, since all, sorry about that, I'm like a certain debater. God, and then what we can do here is just put, and then we have to remember here now. Maybe I can't remember this either. Oh shit. We go here. Oh, come on. Go back, but go back. This will be column J. So this will be J, and then we could put equity cash flow, we could put debt, we could put anything in, of course. Okay, I'm just illustrating it, and so this is expenses, for example, would be J48. Okay, and then what we need to do very, very quickly is we can go up here. We need to know that it's column, no, how about this? I think this will be okay. Sum, and then you put, open the bracket, and you put start, and then you put a colon end, and then you put an exclamation point, and you put J 39, and you have to put that 39 in there, and you know, it would be really wonderful if you go, why am I doing this? Shift Control R. It would be really wonderful if you could, and there we start with our revenues, and they're growing, and then we can see how many capex of the next one we could finance with the previous one. And then we can do the same thing. Let's just copy this down. Now, again, this is where a macro would come into play. I would almost make a macro, because the indirect function, unless somebody tells me it would work, or somebody says there's a better way to do this, fine. Okay, and then we'll look at kind of how much our capex is, and it's going up and down. Oh, then we're finished, and we've got the revenues. And I suppose we could even get the free cash flow, but I'm going to stop. And you can then get after you get the free cash flow, you could get the just a minute. Okay, let's put this. It's on automatic. After you get the, okay, fine, whatever. Just to illustrate this. Revenues minus expenses, it says expense minus capex. I hope I put them all in as positive numbers, and let's make a little graph. Shift Control R. Let's find whatever. I should have put a little scale on there, but we can see, oh, what's happening to this. Okay, we're getting some cash flow. I think our revenue should be growing a little more. Free cash flow could be growing a little more. We can look at that, and then if we wanted to go to input sheet 1, project 1, and in project 1, maybe we want to change the capacity factor to 57%. And we just change that, and everything comes all the way back to the consolidation sheet. You can double check that all worked, and then you can make a, I hope this is, maybe because we finished all the projects in 2 years, that's why it looked like that, okay? We can change it, and it didn't take that long to do this, okay? And whatever, I'll just stop. It shows you that making a little effort, this would be a good example for me to go from very basic kind of goal seek macros, very basic copy and paste macros, to something just a little bit more. Now, after we do this, we could clear all the models out and redo the models and all of that. Let's just see how, okay, I don't know, just a minute. Okay, so it got up to 5.48 megabytes, and with that indirect, it's going to be a little slow. It's going to take some time to insert rows and all of that, but, and if you have to start, if you want to add things, well, you can add inputs at the bottom, but if you want to start inserting inputs, because of that indirect that takes the row numbers, you're going to have to redo a little bit of that, but it's all in macros, so it can all be redone. And why oh no, I didn't want to do that. Okay, stop.